Greetings one and all, this is Rhythmworks and welcome to my channel. Now if you are hearing a distinct droning sound, it's basically my music studio computer, which I have basically started to defrag the disk in my computer. I wouldn't really be making a video right about now. I would have been busy at work trying to make a move on with my album. Now the reason why it's defragging is because there's just no space on my hard drive to keep the music program Cubase that I use turning over and working, right? And it's literally just missing stuff and crashing all the time, and I really do not want that to happen right now because I'm kind of pissed off that I've got to be recording in the summer, right? If my computer basically breaks down, that's it, I'm just mashing it up to pieces. But I can't do that because the guy that actually designed my computer is no longer with us, so you know what I mean, that's why I'm exercising patience and playing a bit of Uncharted 4 in the meantime. So apologies for that droning sound, but it's got to be done. It's my bread and butter. It's how I earn my moolah, if you know what I'm saying. So pardon the droning, pardon the humming sound. Now want to talk about, it's broken record alert again, people. I'm talking about Uncharted, I'm talking about Naughty Dog. I'm not hating, I'm just debating while others are masturbating, if you know what I mean. Now for me personally, I have to say this from the get-go, I'm as big a fan of the Uncharted series as anyone else, right? But the thing that continues to niggle and niggle and niggle and niggle at my head, at my brain, in my cranium is the impending release for us in Europe of The Lost Legacy and the multiplayer update that I've received, or the released Lost Legacy expansion, if you like, that some people might have already. Now for me personally, I've already alluded to the fact that I'm not really excited about it because you know what you're gonna get with Uncharted, you know what you're gonna get with Naughty Dog in relation to Uncharted, in relation to the characters and the story. You know, you're gonna get a top-notch story, but it's pretty much of a muchness to me, you know, like with The Last of Us. That was like a new IP with Naughty Dog, but it proved to be so successful that it stands out to be one of the best games of all time, you know. But with Uncharted, with a long history with Nathan Drake at the helm, one wonders, well, how can that be topped? How can it be equaled to any degree? You know, for the sake of it being introduced now on current gen consoles with 4K and all of that malarkey, you can say that, you know, Uncharted has improved somewhat. But here's the thing with me, in terms of the delivery of content, I personally think they've gone backwards. I honestly do. I think they've gone backwards. Now here's my thing, right? I know it's a broken record alert, ladies and gentlemen, but I have to mention this because there are some people on the internet that are who I call Naughty Dog apologists. And don't get me wrong, I used to be one, but no fucking more, okay? Now here's the thing. Anyone who's watched any videos on my channel will see a series called Countdown to Uncharted 4. Now, my brethren in my PSN will tell you and vouch for the fact of how excited I was to be playing, or how excited I was at the prospect of playing Uncharted 4, right? Story mode, first and foremost, want to get that over and done with. But then at the same time, on the back of Uncharted 3, I was a beta tester for Uncharted 3. Didn't really play much of the multiplayer in Uncharted 2, but I started to play Uncharted 3 and then I went back and played Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2 just to get the overall feel of what the hype was about with a lot of fans of the franchise. So after doing all of that and playing the hell out of Uncharted 3, especially co-op arena and co-op adventure. I'll say it once, I'll say it twice, and I'll say it again. The amount of people that equally plays co-op as well as multiplayer was more or less on a level, on par. And another thing that I liked about it was the fact that it introduced a lot of people who weren't really interested in shooters per se to the genre, you know, because they saw games like Call of Duty and Battlefield and thought that was just too much for them. I was one of those people. I just thought, nah, you'll never get me playing Call of Duty or Battlefield after watching the rage videos on YouTube. Fuck that. No, not me. But then playing Uncharted got me into shooters, and then playing any other shooters once I've done playing Uncharted, the games just felt so slow. I didn't realize how fast the gameplay was with the Uncharted games in that franchise. But here's my thing, and I don't want anybody to, you know, to jump down my throat, but here's a thing that I noticed in relation to Uncharted and other games. In fact, with the gaming industry, as it were, in terms of its retail business, right? Now, when I played Uncharted 3, when I played the beta of that, it gave me the opportunity to play the PvP, right? The multiplayer and the co-op, I think it was. And after playing the beta and playing the game and knowing that Uncharted 4 was on the horizon on the PS4, it was a done deal. Pre-ordered my shit, 60 odd quid. I thought at least I am going to get the base game. I am going to get a portion of PvP and a portion of co-op. That's what I thought, and I'll be happy with that. Even if they brought one out of the co-op modes, either arena or adventure, I just did not give a shit. As long as they had one, I would have been happy with that. When the game was released, they only had three, I repeat, 3 PvP modes in multiplayer. That's all they had. And they kept adding to that, but no sign of any co-op. And the co-op element didn't come into the game until 6 or 7 months after the release of Uncharted 4. And people were making up a big stink about it, only to be met by, oh, it's not about co-op and multiplayer and this and that and yada yada yada. And all of that was being said by people who played PvP a lot, you know. A lot of the fanboys and girls that played multiplayer were basically saying that, oh, it's all about the story and this and that and blah 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 and yada yada yada, and you know, the multiplayer is only the addition, and Naughty Dog is doing you a favor by giving you that as the addition and all that bollocks. Here's my thing again. If I'm paying X amount, right, for a past generation console game like Uncharted 3, wouldn't you think that by getting Uncharted 4, that the content must at least cater to the multiplayer in us, the co-op gamer in us, the single story player in us, like how they did in Uncharted 3? Didn't get no co-op until 6-7 months after the release. And now we're getting survival arena, which is 14 months after the release of Uncharted 4. Done the maths. 14 months. Looked up a blog, and I thought I was by myself in that opinion, but somebody made that, what's the word? Somebody made the same point, whereas somebody else replied by saying, so you're basically thinking that it's only half a game you got. Are you kidding? You know, the story mode is worth the price alone, and yada yada, bollocks, 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 bollocks. Now, I understand where both people are coming from. You know what I mean? And the point that I raised in answer to his comment was more or less basically saying, okay, well, you like multiplayer and you like PvP, and it's better to play with human combatants, if you like, rather than just basically play with other human combatants achieving the same goal to the same ends, utilizing the same means, as it were. And I made a point by saying, okay, so what if we as co-op gamers had everything that the multiplayer people got instead of the multiplayer? Would you be saying the same shit? Of course you wouldn't. If there was no provisions made for PvP multiplayer within 7 and 14 months since the release of Uncharted 4, you'd be kicking up a fucking stink. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of people seem to be saying, well, you know, it's not about co-op, it's not about co-op. It's not necessarily about co-op, it's about the fucking content at the end of the day, because I don't care what anybody has to say. A fan of Uncharted is a fan of Uncharted. A fan of Call of Duty might just like playing the story mission. A fan of Call of Duty might like playing zombies. A fan of Call of Duty might like playing all 3 elements of the game. And it's down to the individual how much value they're gonna get from that game. It is no different with any other game, no different. So for me, as a fan of Uncharted, I want to have the choice of either playing co-op or playing PvP, as well as playing the story mode. Don't give me no bollocks about, oh, it's all about the story mode. Kiss my ass with that bullshit. With games costing £50 fucking pound. You know what I mean? You better give me something that's gonna keep me playing that game, or it's not gonna make no sense. I'm not buying a game just to basically play a fucking story mission for £50 when I can finish that in 8 hours. Now there could be another debate in relation to, well, you know, what size game constitutes its worth of £50. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother debate. But I'm just going by what I've been used to in terms of Uncharted 3. Base single player game, PvP, co-op, co-op adventure, right? Now for me, I don't care if I had to pay a little bit extra for Uncharted 4. If they had basically put everything that we've got now, right, barring the Lost Legacy, right? If they had put everything bar the Lost Legacy and I had to pay like £75, I'd pay that, no problem. But it was too much delays with Uncharted 4 and they couldn't delay it any further, right? Neil Druckmann, bless him, you know what I mean? His lips were a bit loose on the E3 panel when he was asked, well, when is it going to be released? When is it going to be released? And he just said, yeah, it's going to be released such and such and such and such and such and such. You know what I mean? He had that Jesus thing about him. Like he could make the game that everybody basically wants. Bollocks to that, man. You know what I mean? You know, it's not just about one person in Naughty Dog, it's about everybody in Naughty Dog. You know what I'm saying? And since Amy Hennig left and these things came into practice, it just made me feel, okay, there's more than meets the eye in relation to how the two entities separated, as it were. But my thing at the end of the day is that if Naughty Dog are keeping up the practices of basically drip feeding us, right, with a story mode and 3 PvP modes and basically fucking off the people that enjoy the co-op element of the game for 7 months and 14 months respectively, and you want to try and tell me that the £60 that I'm basically paying for is getting me more than I bargained for, that's bovine fecal matter to me, aka bullshit. Something just didn't smell right in terms of what Naughty Dog was doing with the game and how they distributed the content of the game from day 1 to month 14. It just felt like it was a crowd-funded thing. I know it's strange to say, but it just felt like I was crowdfunding. I was helping crowdfund this game, which wasn't finished. This clearly wasn't finished. And if anyone's gonna try and tell me that the game was fucking finished and they were just holding on to that shit, that's even worse. That is even worse. You know, so for the fact that they were basically just still making the game after we paid £60 and odd and mishmash and change for the pre-order, you know, that's more believable for me. Sad, but believable. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope for the way how games are basically doled out. And if Naughty Dog can do that, then everybody else can do that, has done that, or will start to do that, or will continue to do that. It's just sad. I think the peeps in America has got the Lost Legacy already. Peeps in the Far East has got it already. I've just got the Survival Arena multiplayer. And it's pretty much of a muchness, I have to say. You know, it's more or less survival, but with different permutations, with different modifiers and stuff. And I shouldn't feel jaded by that. But why do I feel jaded by that? It's because it wasn't included in day 1. I don't care. It's like, I don't care if it was one fucking map. If it was one map with survival. Give the co-op gamers something to fucking do in the game instead of just catering to fucking PvP players. It's fucking pissing me off. Pissing me off with that shit. And then they're gonna turn around and say, well, you know, it's not about co-op. It's not about co-op. It's about fucking online play. If I'm paying fucking £40, soon to be £50 fucking pounds a year, right? Some people can hold their nose up at that. But for me, at the end of the day, it's like, why am I paying £10 extra and getting the same fucking portions? Do you know what I mean? It's happening with our food, so it's gonna happen with our gaming, you know, at the end of the day. And it can be blamed that the currency exchange is shot to shit because of us leaving Europe. It could be blamed on a whole number of things. But just the way how Uncharted 4, to me, has been doled out and drip fed to us, and people are still sucking Naughty Dog's dick. It just baffles me, man. Baffles me. I love Naughty Dog, but I don't love Naughty Dog to the extent where I don't see the difference between the content being distributed between Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4. Kiss my ass with that shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a clear difference. There's an absolute clear difference. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is enough of the broken record again. I hope not to mention this subject again. I've been cited, well, I have cited myself in saying that I would never mention the subject again. But looking in blogs and looking in forums and seeing people like myself make very constructive points in relation to the distribution of the game's content, and having fucking fanboys and apologists say, listen, it's not about fucking co-op, you know what I mean? It's all about the story and this and that and blah 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 and yada yada yada, and it's, yeah, and PvP, it's all about PvP. But It's all about online. For me, I don't care if you're playing PvP or co-op. It's about online gaming, and it's about choice. Why are you going to alienate co-op gamers on a game that has been beloved by co-op gamers alike, as well as the PvP gamers? Do you know what I mean? I mean, if it was a case where it was all about the story, they would not have made PvP multiplayer. But they saw from Uncharted 1 that something could be made with Uncharted 2, which a lot of people cite as the best multiplayer of the series so far. That's a matter of debate. But for me personally, at the end of the day, give the people some fucking choice, man. If we gotta pay extra, I mean, even if we're paying the same money that we paid for the deluxe edition, the digital deluxe edition, just give us, you could have just given us one fucking co-op mode, man. One, just one. I don't care if it's on the same fucking map, I don't care, but give us that. At least keep us happy in that regard. Nah, didn't give us shit for 7 months and for 14 months. And then I got fanboys basically fucking trying to tell me it's not about that, when I'm spending £40 stroke £50 to play this game online. So please educate me, tell me something different that's gonna make me completely disregard my feelings of this subject. Anyway, it's with that, I'm gonna bid you guys adieu for now. Please, somebody just give me some indication that I'm talking a degree of sense here. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'm thinking it's just me one, but I've seen a couple of people in the minority in the forums making the same point. But they're getting shut down by a barrage of fucking apologists and fanboys saying, it's not about that. Anyway, so with that, I'm gonna bid you guys adieu. Let me know what you think. I know it's a laboured subject, but it has to be said. So thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching the video, and as always, you don't know the coup, whatever the game, media, platform, format, genre, happy gaming, because that's what it's truly about, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters. And until I catch you on the next one, please stay blessed. Magan.